Good evening, everybody. Yeah, it's Mark tonight. You haven't got Chris. So welcome back to the Evermore NUFC channel. Just back with a quick match reaction following that 1-0 defeat away at Manchester City. Disappointing. We'll come to that. I think is the overriding feeling from everybody that I've all the comments that I can see. But we'll get stuck into that just in a second. We got loads of you in watching already, so thank you very much for coming to join us. If you are new to the channel, we'll go through this straight away. If you are new, please consider subscribing and dropping a like on the video as well. If you do enjoy the video, that'd be great. We are 14 off 5,000 subscribers tonight, so it's just sensational. Obviously the love for the channel from everybody has been great, so thank you again. And we'll get stuck in. There are loads of comments in already tonight, so I'll do my best to get through them. It's not quite Chris in his ability to get through them, but I'll do my very best for this. So yeah, we'll get started. Obviously, the lineups for the game tonight. A couple of changes for City with Diaz and Alvarez coming into the team. Totally unchanged for Newcastle, as you'd expect after that sensational performance opening day of the season. And yeah, we'll get going. I mean, first couple of minutes, game started, and it was the first minute when Shaw went down. I thought, oh, here we go. I genuinely thought at first he was going to go down and stay down, but he picked himself back up, and it was, I think we're going to pretty much the Phil Foden show at that point, didn't we? So, he picked up and kind of took control of a lot of the game. There was some very, very good stuff, I think, defensively from Newcastle tonight. I thought the back four excelled. At times there was some questionable positioning, I think, from some of the players first half, particularly. I thought Burn was quite narrow. I don't think Anthony Gordon is well suited to playing sort of almost a left wing back role at all. And you saw those gaps in the play. You saw the Foden drop into that hole between the midfield and the defence very well. His movement was sensational all night long, and he was the difference on the night. And like I said, just I think a very frustrating night. I'll just jump into some of the comments as we go. And George in there, good evening, George. Yeah, frustrated, drop point, wasted chances. Almiron wasteful. I think that's absolutely right. I think there were a few that looked off the pace. I think Joe Linton especially, he looked a little leggy. He didn't look quite up to speed straight away. Mickey's decision making for a lot of the night was poor. At times he was the only outlet. He sort of patrolled that right hand side very well. Got into some good space at times, but again, just say decision making was slightly off. As with some other players as well. Lauda. Sorry, apologies if I've just butchered your name. A good game, I'd say, but here's what it is. We're going to hate players. Look. No, absolutely not. A 1-0 defeat away at City is not the end of the world. Newcastle put up a good fight tonight. As Maybury's put in their bottommost class, I thought he was excellent. A couple of moments when obviously Sean and Botman had to patrol Haaland, and Haaland had a couple of opportunities where he could have scored. But largely they kept him very, very quiet. The main man was Foden, and just being able to stop him, it was really, really, really difficult because he was exceptional tonight. What we've got from Ian. Sadly, the game I love has become non-contact sport. Diaz, Grealish, Foden moaning to the ref constantly. Yeah, look, Grealish is like that, isn't he? He's always going to go down. He likes to fall over. Nothing more than sitting on his backside going like this to the referee. Foden, again, I mean, you give him some credit. He was excellent. But you're right. I think every touch they're looking for that. They're looking for that free kick. They're looking to try and get players booked. It is difficult, but I mean, take nothing away from the fact that he's an exceptional footballer. Andrew, you're absolutely right. That's probably and will be the hardest game of the season in terms of expectation from the game. And I think like I said, coming away with a 1-0 defeat is no mean feat, and to put up a fight. And on another night, some of those touches go a little bit better. Ian, again, that's why City are good, because if you're allowed to tackle, yeah, exactly. I think you're absolutely right. I think there's an element from tonight of Newcastle just dropping off too much. They just allowed City, gave City too much time with the ball, and sort of ran backwards instead of going to meet them with it. Whether there's an element of being afraid to get passed around, I guess, but it was disappointing to see that lack of intensity of getting to the ball and trying to close down. The press didn't seem to work very well tonight. They're always a difficult team to press against, and especially at their place. Good evening, Ches. Good evening, Ian. Yeah, absolutely. I hope Joe's okay. He looked drugged. He didn't look right from minute one. I thought he was probably the poorest of the players on the field tonight. I just thought his passing first off, the ball when he gave it away to Foden early doors, or he knocked it to Haaland, didn't he, early doors, and got away with one there, but he looked off. And hopefully that's not too bad when it's just a knock and he'll be all right getting forward. As Andrew says, they're promising defensive work. Absolutely no shame in losing to Manchester City. And a manner of the defeat as well. It's not going there and getting absolutely stuffed. It is going there and I say putting in performance, but putting in a solid performance. It wasn't exceptional. The things that could have gone right. You look at the Wilson chance the second half when he gets through one-on-one and his touch is just awful, and allows the defender to take the ball away when really Newcastle should have been 3-on-1 at that point. Let's just get through some of these comments. They are coming through absolutely thick and fast, so thank you again. John, only 1-0. Yeah, absolutely right. In terms of could be a valuable stat at the end of the season. I mean, you're absolutely right. Goal difference could be key. So keeping the score down at the Etihad is a good one. It sounds odd keeping the score down, but if you go in and lose a game and a tight game, I think that just to take away from a 1-0 defeat is a positive. Odd way to put it, but a positive for that. Good evening, Les. There's no prize tonight, Les. Just so you can't win anything tonight for the evening. Let's have a look where we're going. We saw Newcastle should start Tino Liverpool at left back and Harvey Barnes start. I still maintain from what I said before on what's going on with Chris on a Monday that we've never seen Tino play left back at this level. So there's a lot of calls for him to have played at left back when he first signed. They're saying, oh, yes, he can come in and play left back. And he might have done it before at other levels, but he's not done it at the highest level. And I think that would be dangerous, especially if I don't know whether you're referring to tonight's game, but I really don't think you bring him in to play at left back when he's not done it before tonight. I think Dan Burn is the absolute right choice for that. We'll see going forward with the signing of Lewis Hall. That he may move in and become the number one, and then Dan Burn becomes sort of the backup left back, backup centre back as well. That's a really promising signing though, and one, if it's a loan deal with an option to buy at the end of it, I think it's a brilliant piece of business to get around a little bit of FFP problems, and that creative signing, that creative financial signing that Newcastle talked about doing. That's a great bit of business. Ian, we need to start quicker. Show them too much. Yeah, I'd agree with that. Barnes being shy, Gordon shy. I'm not. Look, it's difficult. I think Gordon was very isolated on that left-hand side. He didn't get an awful lot of support from Burn, I think. He also didn't get an awful lot of support from Joe Linton, where you saw last week that interaction between Joe Linton and Anthony Gordon was very, very good. That was really lacking on that left-hand side tonight, and I think Gordon struggled there. I don't know what your thoughts are. I haven't got that down the comments, but the yellow card, obviously, for Anthony Gordon, particularly the second chance, what did he think? Did he think he got away with one there? It would have been really, really harsh. But I also think Joe Linton might have done him a favour with with getting himself booked and getting him away from getting that second yellow card. Where's Chris? More importantly, that cat. The cat is somewhere around here. I think he's gone to sleep somewhere. Chris is having a few days off. He's having some time with the family. He'll be back soon, I promise you. Bruno Shai, again, I think really, really harsh. I think you are playing the best team in the world. Like, you can go through all the stats and everything and look at it and go, yeah, Newcastle maybe just didn't put in their best performance, but it was solid. It wasn't spectacular. It was never going to be, last week, for example. It was never going to be a repeat of that. Coming up against a side that is exceptionally good, treble winners, as they said, they put out everything before the game. Look, it was always going to be a tough one. And I think Newcastle, in the main, dealt very well with some of City's threats. But I think that the key one was just trying to quieten Phil Foden and that gap in behind the midfield. And I think that especially shows that Newcastle lack a proper number 6 or a number 4, what PK would call it. It's somebody to just sit in that hole and protect the back 4. And I think that's something that maybe was missing a little bit as well. Let's go on to some more. Tim, good evening. Yeah, exactly that. However, been beaten by the best in Europe. Yeah, you have. It's again, we'll come back to it. There's no shame in going to City and losing a tight game at that. I think frustration is that there were opportunities to have got something a little bit more from the game. I know City could have had a couple more. I think Haaland left his shooting boots at home. But the opportunities when Newcastle did get into the area or did get forward, it's particularly that one in the second half where Wilson's running through. You just need to be a little bit more composure. Miggy second half when he darts down the left and then he has Trippier run 60 yards to overlap and then completely messes it up. I think was just a sign of the night. Harvey Barnes looked sharp. I think he looked to do things, but again, you're coming up against a brilliant defensive line, and he's always going to struggle. He's not going to get those balls through that he had last week, where Villa played that high line. It's going to be something different. But again, you can't be too harsh on one result away from home against a side that's this good. As Corvo's just putting here, we'll move on. Hopefully, slap the Scousers next week. Absolutely, think we can shut Jurgen Klopp up. If any team can shut Jurgen Klopp up and make them move on, it's great. I thought they were. Yeah, again, I think they're probably a side we look to. So they're not. They won today. I don't think they were particularly great. I think that's a game we could definitely, get points in. Let's have a look some more of these comments. Lots of you talking together, which is great. Yeah, Kenneth, again, going back to that, this didn't get tanked. I think I would have been really harsh if it had been more than a couple tonight. I think 1-0 absolutely is a good result at the Etihad. As George says, yeah, back 4 was solid as a rock. I think so. You're right, absolutely. Haaland pretty much nullified. He had those couple of opportunities where he should really have done better, but overall, he's been kept very, very, very quiet. Roger and Miggy thoughts, yeah, I think we've sort of said that. I think he's very disappointing in terms of his decision making, his final ball. He again was first half particularly. He had loads and loads of space, and again, sort of in parts of the second half, they almost allowed him to have a lot of space, because almost they knew that the decision at the end of it, he wasn't supported. And even when he was supported, he sort of made the wrong choice. But again, you don't want to be too critical of players going into play against City. It's tough. It's a difficult place, isn't it? So you take it, you move on, and hopefully, for Newcastle, you get into the next 2 games As Big Tank says here, Liverpool and Brighton next 2. Let's get 6 points. Get back on top. Yeah, you absolutely now target the home game against Liverpool and want a result there. Anything for a bit of revenge for last season's 2-0 defeat. Hopefully, Nick Pope has his head screwed on next week as well. Popular images. Miggy was solid. Energy helped all over the pitch. Yeah, look, the one thing you're always going to get from Miggy Almiron is work rate on it. He's always going to work backwards and forwards, and he'll never stop running. So it's just that end product, that little bit at the end where the decision making comes into play. I think some of the chat that was in it said he sort of reverted back to his previous type. I think that was a little harsh. I think it's against City, so it's going to be difficult. But he can only do what he can do on his own, and I think just really harsh to kind of single him out like that. But I'll go back to that point about decision making. He has to do better in those areas where, and you're only going to have a couple of these at City. You have to do it. You have to do better. You have to take advantage. Second half, I just want to kind of come to the. I think one of the bright points when Anderson came on, I thought Anderson looked quite sharp. He looked really bright for the few minutes, but disappeared really, really quickly. I think he had an opportunity to put a ball in not long after he come on and properly overhit it. And I was disappointed at that, but he looked bright. He looked like he was getting into those areas, almost a little bit Foden-esque, where he was able to break the lines. But again, just it was fleeting. He disappeared far too quickly in that regard. The Muggy tapes, genuine painful watch that was. Well, it was, I think, frustrating more than painful. I would go for. I mean, it's your opinion, isn't it? Sorry, the new Muggy, but yeah, I think overall feeling from that one is just frustration, because there was the opportunity, I think, there for Newcastle to have got something, despite how good the opposition were. Graham thought Bruno passed. Yeah, it's. I think for anything for me, it was slow. I thought both Bruno and Tonali were just didn't move the ball quickly enough. But again, that it was being allowed to do that by the City players. Their press was very good. They got onto them quite quickly, but also movement from others just didn't help them too much at all. But certainly, yeah, I think not one of Bruno's better games, but I mean, not poor by any stretch of the imagination, but he certainly could move the ball. And I think Newcastle, in that environment against a team like Manchester City, and they're going to come up potentially against somebody of that ilk in the Champions League again, have to learn to move the ball a little bit more quickly, press a lot more, press more efficiently. We've seen them do it lots before, but definitely the use of the ball, quick movement with the ball, movement off the ball as well. I think that was lacking for an awful lot of tonight too. And again, like I said, just honestly frustrating. Let's have a look through, see if more comments. There's so many. Yeah, ref was crap again. Yeah, well, we could say that from every game in the Premier League at the moment. It's the standard of refereeing is poor. I thought, again, the referee, I think Chris sent me a message before just saying that the referee was far too quick in dishing out yellow cards. I think that's probably true. He did feel a bit trigger happy. Bruno's yellow card, I think, was probably justified. Gordon's, I think, was more accidental than anything else. I'm not entirely sure that was a yellow card offence. I'm sure it'd be difficult for the second one. I don't know what you're thinking. You guys' thoughts on the second one that he sort of got away with. I know Ali in the commentary had said that the more he looked at it, he thought he was very lucky to have got away with that one. I think, like I said, Joe Litton's probably done him a favour in that regard. So yeah, it's the referee. Go back to that. The referees are absolutely atrocious at the moment. We've seen some shockers. Funnily enough, Liverpool, I think, were on the victim of an awful decision today. But I mean, if that means that McAllister misses next week, then that's a massive bonus for Newcastle. I have a feeling though that one will get rescinded. Ian, you're absolutely right. No disgrace getting beaten by City. Rocky, why take Tonali off when the game opened up more? Yeah, it's difficult for Tonali, I think, tonight just to get into the game. He didn't look. I think City did a very good job on the Newcastle midfield and closing down well. And maybe it's a point of it opened up a little bit more once Tonali came off as well. Different style of players, different types of players. But look, it's his second game in the Premier League. He was exceptional last week. He was tidy tonight without being spectacular. And he'll continue to get better as this goes on. And let's have a look. Just trying to go through some of the conversations backwards and forwards before I find some more. Yeah, Graham, again, Elliott and Barnes did look. I think they did make things brighter when they came on. And Barnes had that opportunity when he shot went straight at Ederson. But there were moments where the pair of them were just finding little bits of space, using their pace to sort of get past players or create a little bit of space for them. But yeah, it was, again, as Julian said here, disappointed with the loss. It's not a bad result. You can take that and move on. Rocky, in hindsight, should have started with Longstaff and then bring Tonali on second half. I think if Longstaff was fully fit, I think that's maybe would have been a good shout. But I thought Longstaff when he came on looked very tired. I think he looked leggy almost instantly when he came on. I don't think he's definitely not match fit. I'm not sure he would have lasted for too much beyond half time if he comes in and he starts that game. I thought Tonali, after last week's performance, you're never going to change it. I don't think Eddie Howe was ever going to change the starting lineup there. So, but I understand the point, because I think Sean does give you something, especially in that press, especially in being able to get in the faces of the opposition. So, if he's fully fit, yes, I would completely agree with that. Graham, yeah, Miggy doesn't have a right foot. It's so obvious, and we've talked about this so many times. Like when it's good, it's good when Miggy comes in on his left foot. But more often than not, he's been shepherded into that position to break and move down. And if you are breaking down that right-hand side and with pace, all the defender has to do is take a step further to bring Miggy back onto his left foot. And although it's his stronger foot, it stops the break. It stops the chance more often than not in that. So Jonathan, Barnes and Anderson must start against Liverpool. I don't know. It's a difficult one because at St James's Park, it's going to be completely different to tonight. You're not going to be playing the caliber of Manchester City. I'm still. I think the jury's out on Anderson yet at this level. I think he's shown flashes of brilliance. He can be. He's done some very, very good things. We need to see a little bit more from him. I think Dai is put in our chat lots that I think they're starting to get to the point now where we need to see that end product. We need to see a little bit more from him. I understand the feeling behind wanting to get him to start. Where would you put him though, Jonathan? Would you start him in that front three and drop Gordon and Miggy in that regard? I think that's the obvious point, unless you're going to put Anderson in the midfield three. Seeing a little bit of energy in that midfield against Liverpool's midfield would do very, very well, I feel. And I thought when he started last year at St James's Park before the 2 goals, I thought he started well. He pressed very well, so that energy from him would probably be a good thing. But we'll see. I think there will be a couple of changes maybe going into the game next week, certainly. Big Tank, not discouraged, disappointed, but we have 36 more games left. Yeah, absolutely. Let's not lose our heads at a game that's the second game of the season. Absolutely, yeah. There's 36 more games, and we've said it. a 1-0 defeat away to Manchester City isn't the end of the world. Ian, let's smash this. Can't disagree with that one. 36 games, Champions League and Cup games, absolutely. The season's going to be massive. There's loads and loads of football to be played. So we're 2 games into this season now for everybody. So yeah, just enjoy the ride, and I'm sure that there's positives to take from tonight, especially defensively. We've said so. It's not all doom and gloom. And Settle along Chiesa would be perfect on that right wing. Yeah, I think he'd be a very, very good signing, but price-wise, financially, I'm not sure that one's achievable. Kenk, good evening, Kenk. Miggy wasn't good enough tonight at all. Should replace him second half. Look, again, I think the one thing you always get from Miggy is work rate. I think end product is a different thing, but he was a good outlet for a lot of tonight. So he did some good things, but like we said, his decision making, his final product, his final ball, the pass or the shot at the end of it just wasn't good enough. But again, it's against City, but it's always going to be tough. Manchester City's playing locked up shot, kept the ball away from us. Yeah, they were great. They moved the ball so well. There was, like I said before, those little pockets of space that Phil Foden, his movement was exceptional tonight. I don't want to go on a complete positive about Phil Foden, but he was absolutely the difference tonight. There's no getting away from that. His ability to just move through the lines and get into that hole between sort of Bruno and Tonali, Joelinton and the back four. He was just able to do that at will. And City have the ability to find him at will in those holes. So difficult night trying to, coming up against something. But like I say, if there's a 6 in there, somebody just to hold in that gap in between and protect the defence, a little bit like the 3-3 at St James's last year, where somebody in that gap or in that defensive line just in front of the 2 centre backs, does that prevent a couple of their goals too? So it's a little bit of a theme, but against City, both games, so it's always going to be tough. But there's definitely things to work on that regard when you come up against a player like him. Let's have a look. Stephen can't understand how Longstaff got on before Anderson. Well, yeah, I sort of understand. I mean, Longstaff just didn't look good with the ball at all tonight. I still don't, like I said, I don't think he's fully fit. But I think coming into that midfield 3, when you want to sort of break up what City are doing, I think Sean's ideal for that. But I just don't think he's ready for full game time yet at all. One block collecting the yellow cards, and we're getting a bonus from. Yeah, the referee was loving to dish them out. I think he thought it was Christmas. I know that's a completely cliched thing to say, but it was the number that were coming out was ridiculous. Absolutely on this new monkey, the Tonali's yellow card was not a yellow card at all. That was a shocking decision. It's a foul, yes, but I mean it's barely a touch in Foden's back. They were pretty much shoulder to shoulder. It's not a yellow card at all. Definitely not. Jonathan need an upgrade on Miggy unless play Barnes there. I think longer term, yeah, absolutely, an upgrade on Miggy is going to be needed. But again, you're into the realms of FFP and being able to just go out and buy players and bring players of a much better quality in. Maybe moving Barnes out there for a game. You could obviously Livramento as well is potential to play further forward. So there's the possibility of moving 1 or 2 around. Gordon could play out there. You can keep Barnes on the left-hand side. There's options there. But while Miggy work rate remains, he's almost been first name on the team sheet just for the performances from last season and his work rate alone. He just give you an awful lot of support, especially for Trippier in the defensive third as well. Yeah, agree. Tonali's challenge wasn't a yellow. Chairs, Gordon second, definitely didn't deserve a yellow. He kept his studs down, looked more like a 50-50. Yeah, it was. I mean, it was so tight, wasn't it? It was one of those where he's a millisecond late. It's not like he's gone in 20 minutes late and cleaned out the play. It's pretty much foot on foot. It's low. His studs aren't showing. I'd agree. I thought that would have been very, very harsh. I disagree with Ali on that. I put the comment out before just to get everybody's thoughts on it, but I thought it would have been really harsh if he got a second yellow for that. Absolutely right. One below did go out, keep calm, quiet, couldn't support the midfield as much from the back. Yeah, and that's difficult. There were times actually where, especially Cher striding forward with the ball, he thought he read the game really, really well tonight. He put a cracking challenge on Haaland in the box as well, didn't he? And got that one away from him. But his ability to then just step out with the ball and drive forward, I thought there were signs of that too, and that pairing of the two of them is really, really good. And I thought they did a very good job tonight. Let's not forget the sea has a habit of picking good place. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, completely agree with that one. Brushes off, home win next week, get back on track. Support sounded awesome. Absolutely. Newcastle away support always sounds great. They never get drowned out. You can always hear them in the background. So yeah, absolutely agree there. Rob Jones, is it another Lancashire rep? Yeah, they all seem to come from Lancashire, don't they? Or have links to the northwest. When Newcastle seem to play that way. Mark Todd, Joe Linton, he yard off the pace net, absolutely. I think, yeah, absolutely right. I think Bruno, yes, I think he was quick to jump into tackles tonight. I think that there was the one where he got booked for. I think it was an absolute stonewall yellow card. If he's slightly off, then that's a Southampton situation again, where he gets himself sent off. But I think frustration. I think with Bruno, I think he's so good, and he's so eager to do the best that he sometimes just overreaches and he gets a little bit too aggressive. But definitely, yeah, I think he walked a line a little bit tonight as well. The agent tag, look, we didn't get smashed. Absolutely. We said it right the way through this. A 1-0 defeat away at City is nothing to get upset about at all. Let's just jump forwards. Actually, that's a good point, William. Would love to have seen Willock tonight. I think actually Willock's pace, Willock's directness with the ball as well, coming from midfield, I think is a huge miss in games like that, where he can really get it, the opposition midfield and the opposition defenders, and he works so well in tandem with others as well that that just having him missing is still a huge blow. Phil, I think we played better last season. It had Bruno Tonali, not number 6, as they're both 8s. Nobody went. Yeah, we said that. Look, it's having that player patrolling in front of the back four is a huge one, and that will come. I think let's all not forget that this is really still early on in the journey for Newcastle. So those kind of players will come. They cost an awful lot of money apparently these days. The likes of Casado and Rice and things going for mad money. I'm of the opinion that I don't think any defensive midfielder is worth anything close to 100 million. So to see two of them go for well above it, I think is ridiculous. But that's the kind of player that I think Newcastle will need to go for next. I think if you watch, I don't know if you watched the Spurs game earlier, I thought Bissouma in that position was exceptional alongside Saw today. That type of player, just from sitting in, I thought, definitely where Phil Foden kept finding those gaps. I think he's definitely somebody that you need to look at in the future. That type of player. Shares, I don't know what happened to allowing for more physicality. Yeah, I'm of that opinion. There's been lots that I've seen today where the referees have let things go, and that didn't seem to happen tonight. I thought the referee was quick to give free kicks right the way through the night. So yeah, it's an odd one when they seem to be allowing more physicality. There were slight touches that were being given as free kicks tonight. It was that was an odd one. Maka, no shame, scared of playing. Yeah, possibly. I think I said that earlier on, where I think Newcastle just almost took their foot off in going for sort of the press and going to try and close players down. They definitely backed off far too much, and I think that was frustrating watching them. Was not going to meet the ball and just backing off and allowing City players to run with the ball at them, and it just made it more difficult for them going forward. Ian, as you say, 1-0 defeat is not a disgrace, but we're nowhere near them. Yeah, there's a gap, isn't there? I mean, they've had years at this. It's taken them a long time to get to the Champions League level, but they've got a squad full of fantastic footballers, and it is gonna take a while for Newcastle to get that point. But it's not far away, I don't think. I think I said it's going to take a while, but it's not far away. I've just completely contradicted myself. I think they're closer than City would like. I don't think it will be too many years before Newcastle get to that level, and there's definitely the signs of getting to that level. There is still that gap in quality, though. Phil, Kant in his prime, maybe. I think just for that position, I'm not sure. Unless you offer something that is utterly match winning, then I just think 100 million is far too high. I completely agree. Caicedo and Rice are nowhere near that level. But yeah, I mean that's my opinion that a DM is not worth that sort of money. But you're obviously entitled to any other opinion. I'm never going to shout anybody down for that. Still 6th in the league after narrowly being beaten. I mean, 6th in the league. Talk about league positions after 2 games, but yeah, it's when you have a still +3 goal difference and you've just lost narrowly at the best team in the world. It's not going to be an issue. Be a Viking, fine margins. Yeah, we talked about that. It is just City took their major chance tonight. Newcastle had those opportunities where they just didn't make the most of it when they got it. Bob, yeah, players constantly. It was difficult. Look, it was said right the way through this, haven't we? That up against such a good side, it's just been composed. When you get into the final third for Newcastle players, just having the belief in themselves, just to make the right decision, and it was just a difficult one and a frustrating night all round. Even Andrew. Jay, if our first 2 games are a barometer, teams will have half the squads to suspension. I think there's going to be an awful lot of 5 and 10 booking suspensions this season. I think there will be so many yellow cards. I think until players get used to this the new Premier League is in terms of the way that it's being officiated. But look, if we get some of the poor officials that we've had so far across all the games, then I think it's just a case of having to put up with it for now. It is really disappointing that the best league in the world has the poorest referees, but everybody's in the same boat with that point. But it's utterly frustrating. Andrew, very frustrated. Thought we were timid, but yeah, I think timid's a good word. Actually, I think there was almost a lack of intensity to start with. I think. When we talked about how Newcastle pride themselves on that intensity in games, I think it was just a little frustrating. They were just allowing City they're just standing off and allowing City to run at them, and it was, that I think that's the biggest frustration, absolutely. But yeah, I think obviously I've been on for 40 minutes now, so I've just realised the time has gone so quickly. I will leave it at that point. But thank you very much for everybody getting involved. Obviously, keep the comments coming in. Let us know what you thought of the game. and how, your thoughts on the season going forward, what changes you maybe make to the Liverpool game. We'll obviously be back live on Monday. It'll be me and Dan on Monday, with Chris being away. So come and join us on Monday at 10 o'clock for what's going on then. Di will be doing the preview for the Liverpool game at the end of the week. And then we'll be back with a post-Liverpool game. I think Chris will be back for the post-Liverpool show as well. As I said at the beginning, if you haven't already, please come and join us. Please hit that button and subscribe to the channel. We are arrowing in on 5,000 subscribers now. The last count, we are 11 away, so 4,989. Tell your friends, tell everybody, come and join us at Evermore, and you'll not regret it. But thank you very much for getting involved tonight. Thank you for keeping me company on this tonight, and we will see you on Monday night. Cheers, guys.